the before and the after. This is the interlude. And we have Pastor Jeff Ruby coming in right now.
Morning,
just coming in from greeting everybody, going out of the 8 a.m. worship service. A wonderful worship service this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Now, we are in the season of Lent. Pastor Ruby, can you share with everybody what is this season of Lent? Why is it so important to us?
Sure. So Lent actually began back in the early centuries of the church. It was a form of spiritual discipline. It's not in the scriptures, but it's a very important time for us. It actually comes from an old English word that means lengthen. The word Lent actually means lengthen, and kind of as the days get longer in the spring, the idea is so our spiritual lives should get longer and develop and grow deeper. So part of what we do here at La Casa, obviously, is we always have a Lenten study. Maybe that's written by one of the pastors, maybe it's done by someone else, but it's a very special time because we gather together in groups outside of worship on Sundays, and in addition to that, we gather for worship on Wednesday evenings. So the whole idea is that just as the days get longer, our spiritual lives should get longer and deeper in the life of the church.
Now, it might be easy to think that being a part of the church means only coming on Sunday mornings once a week, but you just mentioned that there are opportunities for people to be involved in other times. Why is it so important to be involved in other activities of the church?
Well, I think it's like anything else, you get out of it what you put into it. So obviously, if someone comes in for worship on Sundays, we love that, but that's very limiting because you don't really get to know people as well in a larger sanctuary or in the gathering place. You can chat with them, maybe get to know them a little bit, but it's really in the small group setting or in other settings. And of course, it's not just our Lenten small groups, but we have many different ministries, many different groups that meet. Some are focused on Bible studies or studying the Word. Others are oriented towards outreach and helping the hungry and homeless, but that's how we really are the church together.
Very good. And by the way, a wonderful sermon this morning. Is there anything you can share with our online audience? What is it, maybe in just a quick sentence, that you are hoping that people will get out of the message this morning?
Well, I think we have to be very careful at times because sometimes we want to locate evil only outside of ourselves. And so we have to understand, even for those of us who name the name of Christ, Satan is still powerful and will try to drag us down. So we have to look at that within our own lives as well.
Very good. Such a wonderful message. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And very appropriate for the season of Lent, as we recognize that it's Christ himself that went straight to the cross to face that evil for us in our lives. So thank you, Pastor Ruby. Pastor Ruby, we're going to take your microphone because I want to talk to somebody else here this morning. Oh, Rick already has a microphone. Wonderful. Rick, good morning to you. We have Rick Knowling right over here. And Rick, I wanted to ask you something because, sometimes we look around in this beautiful sanctuary we have, and there are different elements in the sanctuary, and we might wonder, what's the significance behind that or that? Because every part of our holy life together has a special meaning. And I noticed something on the back wall. I don't know if the camera can pick this up here. On the back wall over here is a candle that sits by itself. Rick, what can you tell us about this candle?
Well, that is the eternal flame candle. It burns day and night, 24/7. It began with God telling Moses to have a light burning in the tabernacle when they were in the Sinai, and that continued on into the temple.
Wow, so this is not a new invention. This has a large history to it.
This is years.
Wow.
Right. The Catholics have theirs. Sometimes it's on a chain. It's called the chancel lamp, and it also burns. It's usually over the Eucharist. The Lutherans consider it an indication of the presence of Christ in the Eucharist in the sanctuary.
So Rick, do you just light this candle for service, and then after service you put it out?
The candles on the altar we light for service, and then afterwards put it out. But that one burns 24/7.
All day and all night, every day.
Correct.
Throughout the whole week, throughout the whole year, all the time.
It's a 6-day candle, so it lasts for 6 days, and a little bit less than that. So there's different times of the day when it gets low enough that it has to be changed.
Okay, and who is the one that's responsible for making sure it gets changed and always stays lit?
Well, when we were on Thunderbird campus and then moving over to the Sanctinasium, Mr. Tom Osborne did that duty for over 40 years.
Wow.
And he moved away, so it's been my duties for the past 3.5 years.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Rick. So one of the things we like to do on our Interlude show is give people a little behind-the-scenes peek at how things work. So if you don't mind, would you show us what is the process for making sure this is lit? What's all involved in that?
Well, I have a two-step in the sacristy, which I bring out, get up on the two-step, take down the hurricane cover. I use a wooden punk to transfer the flame from the old candle to the new, and light that from the same flame. So try to keep the flame burning continually. There's a nice little emblem of the cross on the candles.
So you take the flame and you transfer it to a new candle.
Correct.
And then is the new candle just for while you're relighting the flame, or does that new candle then go up into the eternal candle?
The new candle is replaces the old one, which is down to nothing.
Wow. And do you know where we get these candles from?
There's a church supply store called King's House down on McDowell Road, and Craig Milbreth has been kind enough to go down when we need those, which is about once a year we get a supply.
Wow. And each one of these, you said, lasts for 6 days.
Almost 6 days.
So you have quite the supply of candles.
We do. We get a year's worth. There's like 12 in a case, so that's 2.5 months less.
And where are all these candles stored?
They're in the sacristy.
Can you show us that?
Sure.
All right. Get to journey back into the sacristy area. This is right behind the altar of the sanctuary of the church.
These are the empties. There's another full one there. There's more full ones here. That I use when I'm done with relighting the flame. I put that little punk in there. I have a care kit, which Tom Osborne started, and I've added to it a little bit with new wicks and things to clean the candles and maintain. We use a liquid paraffin oil for the other candles, the ones on the altar and the ones in the narthex.
So the ones in the narthex, the ones on the altar are run by this. And how often do you have to fill those candles up?
Those are wicks in a tube. I pour the liquid paraffin in there. They last about 2 to 3 services, so every 2 weeks.
Okay. And so you come in here quite regularly to make sure all the candles for our sanctuary are running, ready to go, whether they're the ones that we use for worship or the eternal candle that goes all the time.
That's correct. It's my honor to do that for the sanctuary, for the congregation, and for the Lord.
Well, we're blessed to have you, Rick. This is incredible. You know, there are so many different parts of the church that all the people of the church just do an incredible job of making sure that the church is always running and keeping things going. And everybody just plays one little role. It's like we all have one little puzzle piece in the larger picture. And Rick, amongst many other things that he does here, takes care of all these candles. And you wouldn't even have known it, right? He comes in, odd hours during the day or the night to make sure that these candles are lit. Rick,
that's my goal, to be anonymous about it.
That's your goal, to be not anymore, Rick. Not anymore. Well, I certainly invite all of you that are watching to give your kudos and thank you to Rick for what he does next time you see him. Thank you, Rick, for all that you do on the candles. Rick, can you summarize for us what it means for you to take care of the light in the house of the Lord?
Well, as I said, it's a tradition that dates back to Moses, and it's something that I'm proud to be a part of and to help make services at La Casa work.
I think that is a really special part of this story, knowing the amount of time that this tradition has gone on, because you mentioned that story goes all the way back to that light from Moses and the burning bush. And Rick, I know that you went to the site at Mount Sinai.
Yes.
You've shared that with us before, where the tradition of the burning bush comes from. For somebody that's watching that might not be as familiar with that story, not only the story itself, but also what it means to travel to that location where that story took place. Can you share with us anything you would like about that?
Well, that was quite a journey to get there because it is pretty desolate driving down through the Sinai, and the mountain itself is impressive. And we started the hike in the middle of the night to reach the summit at dawn, which was an incredible feeling. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And what specifically do they have there? Any traditions, any stories about that burning bush?
Well, there's a bush there, which they say is the burning bush. It's, I guess I don't know about it. The story when God appeared to Moses was that he saw the burning bush and it was not consumed by flame. It was burning but not consumed.
So the bush that they say that is there today, that is a part of the traditional story, where specifically is it located and who's taking care of this bush?
It's a monastery has been built around it, St. Catherine's, and I think it's the oldest continuously occupied monastery in Christendom.
Very good. So those monks that are living there oversee taking care of this bush that has this incredible story. And one of the beautiful parts about this, Rick, is that the beauty of how God is working in that story then continues here in our sanctuary through the lighting of the eternal candle.
Yes.
So, the point here is that one does not need to travel to a different part of the world to experience God. God is everywhere, all around us, here at the sanctuary. So when you come into the sanctuary, next time you come in to the sanctuary at La Casa de Cristo, I want you to look up at that wall and see that eternal candle. And may it be a reminder to you that the presence of God is with you in this holy space as you come to worship, as you come to pray, as you come to lift up songs to God. Well, thank you again, Rick.
Thank you.
Appreciate all of your work, and we're so delighted to see this. Let's go outside and look at this candle one more time. And Rick, just to close us out this morning, would you mind pointing out each of the candles in the sanctuary? We'll start with this one that we were talking about, but then point out each of the candles that we have in the sanctuary.
Well, we have the eternal flame, which burns continually. Then we have 2 candles on the altar, which are lit before service until after service is over. Up at the narthex at the entrance, we have 2 candles with 3 wicks each, which are also lit and burn at the same time. 3 wicks can represent the triune God.
And that candle right in the middle of the sanctuary, what is that used for?
That is the Christ candle, and it's up there by the baptismal font because that is used to signify when we become children of God from Christ's sacrifice.
Thank you so much, Rick. As you can see, our children's choir is right behind me getting ready for the next service. So make sure you stay tuned for the 9:15 worship service. You're going to hear our children's choir singing songs this morning, lifting up praise to God. Next time you come in, take note of that special eternal candle and all the light of Christ that we have here in the sanctuary. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you all. This has been The Interlude.